Welcome to a very special episode of Late of the Rings. My name's John, and I never thought I would die side by side with an elf. But how about recording a podcast face to face with a friend?
Hello, John.
It's my good friend Emery. I forgot the last little bit.
Yeah, I thought, is it my turn to speak?
So this is a unique experience for us. Remarkably, in all the years, yes, it has been years that we've been recording this podcast, we have never recorded in the same room. And finally, the stars have aligned and we are recording an episode face to face. Dear listener, I don't know how well this is going to go, but good luck, everybody. We're in this together. So, Em, how are you? It's lovely to see you.
Yes, indeed. Not through a Skype call or whatever we use. I'm not 100% convinced that you got that line from Lord of the Rings exactly correct.
Yeah, it was, I'd like to call it a paraphrase. So yeah, we are recording again remarkably quickly, but this was indeed the plan. But even better, we've managed to join forces and actually be in a room. We've been celebrating this weekend, so you may excuse our gruff voices. The EQ is going to have to do a little bit of work in the post-pro, I think. But yeah, here we are. Welcome.
Well, it's lovely to be here. You weren't talking to me, were you?
No. So it's been a very short amount of time since we've recorded, but
For us.
But have you been up to anything interesting?
Well, what have I been up to since we last recorded? Let me think. I've been to a couple of gigs, one which we went to together.
I was going to say the most recent one.
Recent one. So yes, we went to one together a couple of nights ago, which we're still recovering from. I think it's safe to say.
Safe to say that is definitely certain alcoholic content coursing through our veins.
Yeah, 48-hour recovery, unfortunately, for that one. A couple of weeks ago, I went to see ABBA Voyage.
Oh yeah, this is the virtual production.
Yeah, when it starts, you sit in the theatre, but when it starts, a lady comes onto the stage, or she came onto the stage, and she said, she made everyone promise not to reveal the secrets of ABBA Voyage, everything we were about to see. So I can't say too much, because I didn't really make that promise, but I think it's quite obvious what it is from the available literature.
Well, how much are you willing to divulge?
Well, so to be honest, I wasn't expecting that much. But I really like ABBA, to be honest with you. They make pretty amazing music. And it's quite interesting when you see something like this to realise how many amazing tunes they have, one after the other. But yeah, so basically it's like a hologram thing. And I've never seen one in real life before. I know there's been a couple of these, haven't there? It's like festivals and gigs and stuff. But I was not expecting it to look and feel as incredible and lifelike as it did. So I was kind of blown away.
But were you also a little bit freaked out?
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't. I think I bought into it nice. Straight away. Yeah. It's like no spoilers. They played some songs.
What do they expect people to spoil?
I don't know. I mean,
it's not the mousetrap.
There's this massive twist at the end. I can't say anything. No. At the beginning, so it all starts. It's just the very start of it. There's basically 4 holes in the floor, and up from those 4 holes rise the 4 members of ABBA. And then you're watching it; it just looks like 4 people coming up for it, and it's just mind blowing. You've got these big screens doing all these crazy things, and yeah, it was really immersive, and yeah, really, really incredible experience. So I'd recommend it if anyone gets the chance to. I'm not sure if it's anywhere else apart from sort of London.
I think they do residencies, which is weird because you think it probably just fits onto a floppy disk and you can just send it
a floppy disk.
You just send it around.
It's 1.4 megabytes worth of holograms
of ABBA.
I'm imagining the 8-bit version now.
Now I'm interested. Oh, that would be beautiful.
I'm pretty sure if you looked on YouTube, there will be 8-bit versions of ABBA songs.
I'm going in. As soon as we finish recording, that's how we're spending the rest of the afternoon.
That was great. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Very different vibe to to our gig in that it was a matinee.
Yes.
Didn't, consume vast amount of alcohol. just like went for dinner and went home afterwards.
Sounds very civilized.
It was.
I imagine I'd be feeling a little better if ours was like that as well.
Indeed. So what else in the last few? So that was great. I haven't been out an awful lot since then. Watched a few things on the telebob. So,
as it's known in the trade.
Yes, it's known in the trade. You and I have both been watching Severance, which we mentioned last time. I think we're both almost at the end of
it's
this
about to
series.
finish. This weekend is the last one, so not much more to say about that. We can't spoil anything.
I won't spoil anything on that one, apart from what I say it's been really, really good.
Yeah.
So, that's been great. And I also saw that show, The Three-Body Problem.
Oh, yes.
Which is like a sci-fi, quite crazy kind of story, which I wasn't, again, not expecting that much from, but it was good. It's not Severance levels, I'd say, but it was good. I think the good news on that one is it's based on like a trilogy of books. So I think it will have like a proper ending at some point.
Yeah, so it's not. They're not just going to keep it stringing it. Well, you never know. They might.
Well,
yes.
It's
not unheard of for television shows to go off book.
I don't know whether it's true, but I'm assuming that there are no appendices.
So we're safe. We're safe.
We're safe. See what we can draw out. But that's I think in sort of 3 weeks where it's been since we recorded, I think
that's not too bad.
That's not too bad. Yeah. How about yourself?
Well, not a lot. I mean, I edited the podcast, and I've basically been looking forward to and preparing for your visit, and basically preparing my body because I knew that doesn't sound right.
I didn't think it was going to be that kind of trip, John.
But I tell you what, I didn't do, but I wanted to.
Oh,
now if you just going to pull back the blind, this is breaking the fourth wall now, dear listener. I'm just going to pull back this blind here. Can you see what you can see out of that window?
I can see what I can see.
And what can you see?
I can see. Oh my goodness. Well, listener, I am looking into John's garden, and what I can see out there is what suspiciously looks like garden furniture.
Uncovered. Indeed. So we have been blessed with some glorious spring weather. We've just had the spring equinox. And I knew that Em was going to visit this weekend, and I knew the weather was going to be good. And I thought, well, what better time would there be to break out the garden furniture and enjoy some time in the garden? And I thought, well, I knew we were going to be recording on what I would like to call day 3 of Em's visit. And I thought, well, on day 2, how fun would it be to encourage them to help me even uncover the furniture and see if there would be any tidbits of grumbles, of mumbles, of disapproving looks, and then we could discuss it on the podcast. So that was the plan. However, my plan was foiled as when I returned home from work on Thursday, the day before and was due to visit, I returned through the door to be confronted by the fact that my wife had, in her wisdom, uncovered the garden furniture. So for completely no reason, I got incredibly cross.
This is what I do. Just plant little seeds of destruction into.
No, of course I wasn't cross at all. I mean, we spent that evening in the garden and it was delightful.
It was actually very, to be honest, it was great.
But I thought, we missed the opportunity. I almost considered covering it back up again.
Hey, look, it's only words of advice. It's not a doctrine. But I mean, so far, but it will come back. It will come, for one last blast. It always does winter in this part of the world.
Yeah.
So, but it was very pleasant, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm under no illusions that it will be snowing next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Your furniture will be covered again, but this time in snow.
Yeah. But other than that, have I done anything? Well, yeah, no, not really, because it really hasn't been that long since we recorded. I mean, I've been very busy, but that's by the by. But I tell you what, you mentioned last time, so, have you, when we had been away from recording for like 6 months, you said, is there anything you watched? I was like, no. And then I remembered after the fact that I had watched something that I thought, that's a good one to bring up, to discuss with you, is that, I don't know when it was last year, I watched The Penguin television series.
Oh, right. I saw an episode of this.
Okay. Was it just a random episode?
No, I think it was the last episode. Which was very unlike me in that, but I happened to be somewhere and it was being watched and I couldn't just kind of excuse myself and go. And it looked really good.
It is a sensational bit of work, and I mean that hand on heart, because I know we could be a little bit cynical sometimes when it comes to these sort of comic book spin-offs and things like that. But it's from the director Matt Reeves, who did he directed the modern Planet of the Apes sagas, which some of which I think are excellent, by the way. But he also did the Robert Pattinson Batman film, The Batman.
So all the others are pretenders.
Yeah. Which I actually thoroughly enjoyed. A very interesting take on The Batman.
That was one filmed in Glasgow, I think. I only say that because I've got friends up there, and I think they sent me some shots of the city when it was being converted into,
I presumed it was filmed in Gotham.
Yeah. Sorry, my mistake. Don't break the illusion.
I very much enjoyed that Batman film, the Batman film, and one of the characters that features in that film is the Batman. Which
is Penguin.
The Penguin,
a penguin
is a penguin, and the Penguin is played by Colin Farrell. But if you did not know this, there we are.
I did not know this.
It is a remarkable transformation because, it's incredible makeup, incredible makeup. But from an acting perspective, he just transforms. Of course, he is under a lot of makeup.
He's a great actor.
He is a terrific actor. And he says, the makeup is heavy. It's a heavy situation, but it really helps. It just draws him. As soon as he's got it on, he just becomes this other character. And boy, oh boy, does he act it out of his skin. And I don't mean like it's like he's chewing up the scenery, but it is something else. Obviously we know what Colin Farrell is like, and we know who he is, and we've seen him in lots and lots of films. But once you get immersed into this world, it's completely believable, and it doesn't feel.
This is the film.
Well, this is the film and the subsequent series.
Yeah. Was he in the series too?
Yeah.
That was him.
That's him.
Oh, so I've seen him in the series. But that was Colin Farrell playing a penguin.
Playing a penguin.
Oh my God, I did not recognise him at all. But I thought whoever that was really good. Yes. So there you go. That kind of makes sense.
It's an absolutely stunning piece of acting. But I must say, and I'm not going to spoil anything, and I really heartily recommend that, and I hope it hasn't been spoiled for you by watching the very end, but to go back and watch it. Because it's a very, very clever bit of television. Because yes, it is set in the Batman universe. It has to be. And it is a sequel. It is a direct sequel to the film.
Oh, really? Okay. So watch the film first.
You can watch the film first. It wouldn't hurt not to.
Yeah.
But something has happened at the end of the film which has fundamentally affected the city of Gotham.
Right.
Okay. And this series builds on that. Okay. And what, of course, happens is, I don't think this is a spoiler to say, but this is very Batman, that there are gaps created for crime families to rise and take control. And this is where the Penguin has always fit into the story of Batman, actually, and the quest for power. And it's really a crime drama.
Yeah.
And it's, some of the reviewers were comparing it to The Sopranos, and it's like, well, okay, that's quite some high
Which
praise.
I've never seen.
I also heartily recommend.
It's on my list. That's a long one, though.
Yeah, that is long. And I go, well, actually, I can sort of see where they're going with it, and it's like, well, but maybe steady on. But actually, I must say, I really couldn't fault it. And after every episode, I would just be aghast of like, oh my God, this is just getting better and better and better.
Wow.
And they're
so I've seen the best episode.
With my logic, yes. Yeah. But what's interesting is there are, if you if you know your Batman lore, there are quite a few little nods to places and areas, but it's very smart in the way that it doesn't rely on it. There's no nods and winks to the camera of, oh, this is. It very much feels like it's a story about a city and people, making their way in a city which has been, recovering from disaster, which is a mild spoiler for the end of the Batman. And it's also no, I'm not going to say anymore. That's no, I really don't like spoilers, but it's and from an acting perspective, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that was the impression I got. Yeah, I think just seeing that one episode, which, like I say, is very unlike me. I don't like to watch things halfway through, or
even the finale,
or even the finale. But that was the impression. It just very much seemed like a sort of crime drama, when you talk about sort of Batman lore and stuff, I guess I'm pretty much regular guy on the street knowledge of Batman, maybe an ounce more just from reading a few of the comic books and graphic novels of that term we don't like to use it back in the 80s and early 90s probably. So I think I'll definitely go back and watch it because when I saw that I thought I must go back and watch this series. I'll go back and watch the film as well then if that's directing. So I've been meaning to watch that for a bit. So
no, I liked it. And I like Robert Pattinson a lot. Actually, I've always thought he's a very good actor, and he was like a bit unfairly treated because he sort of made his name in the Twilight series, and I think he was like a teen heartthrob. But actually, I never ever saw a Twilight film ever, and it doesn't interest me. But from what I saw him in all the other things he is in, it's like, well, you could really see this guy was a really great actor.
If only there had been some other actors who'd started off in sort of teen films.
Unheard of, unprecedented. So I thought I'd just mention that because you mentioned, you asked me last time if I'd watched anything. I was like, no, I don't think so. And then it's almost as soon as I hit the stop button on the record, I went, Penguin!
That's what you normally do when you hit stop. It's just a natural reflex.
Natural reaction.
Actually, speaking of Colin Farrell, I saw... I can never pronounce it. It's the Banshees of whatever it's called, a fictional island of the island of Ireland.
Yes, yeah.
With Brendan Gleeson. So it's the same pair who were in Bruges.
In Bruges, yeah.
Did you watch In Bruges?
Yeah, I love In Bruges.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that film, and I thought their chemistry in that was just superb.
Sensational, yeah.
And this is it's not a similar film at all, really, but again, there's that sort of thing there. The premise is, and again, this is not a spoiler, this is literally the first couple of minutes of the film, where they're old friends and they live in, I think it's set maybe early 1900s, perhaps, something like that. Oh, yes, it is, because around the time of the Irish Civil War, so late 1910s or whatever, something like early 1920s. And and basically Brendan Gleeson one day says to him, I don't want to be a friend anymore, with no explanation. And it's just been what happens after that. So like In Bruges, it's got this sort of dark comedy, black comedy, stroke comedy edge. And like In Bruges, it then moves into a kind of more serious, I guess, final act or whatever. So it's got that same kind of structure, same director.
It's same director.
Same director, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I actually love the way that In Bruges does that. It's like you're watching it and go, oh, this is all. I mean, and again, if you haven't seen it, we're not going to spoil anything, but I heartily recommend that film as well.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, but it takes such a turn.
Yeah, it's really surprising. Because it could have. I would have loved that film to have been, even if it was like 2 hours or 1.5 hours of just those two and their relationship. That would have been a great film in itself.
Enough for me as well. Yeah,
but it's like without any spoilers, the two films are similar in that. Yeah, it's got this great sort of character situational thing going on, but then in the end, it's got quite a good, decent point to it.
Exactly.
At the end, but in a kind of slightly abstracted way. So yeah, if you enjoyed In Bruges, I think the likelihood is you'll very much enjoy this as well.
I'm going in, but you can't tell me what it's called. But we'll look it up.
No, the Banshees of an island off the island of Ireland.
Colin Farrell search.
Yes, correct. one star.
Okay, no, that's great. Well, shall we move on to the main topic?
The reason why
we're here. What? Drink?
Yeah. Not today, please.
Just a small one.
Yes.
So we'll move on to. Let's move relatively swiftly on to the main body of the show. So today is a non-spoiler episode of Lord of the Rings, where we'll be discussing some player cards. And the player cards we are going to be discussing are all the spirit cards from the Dwarrowdelf cycle. So, without further ado, shall we jump in? No, this is a very unique situation, listener, as you can probably imagine. So normally we've either got Rings DB up, or we've both got our sets of cards, and we're trying to work out which ones we're talking about, and we're going to do them in a certain order. Now we have the luxury that we're around the table. We have a set of cards from Dwarrowdelf in front of us. So we're going to do this sort of organically. I'm going to grab the spirit cards. You can hear them here.
Yeah. You do the shuffling.
I'm going to shuffle these up.
With your superior card skills.
I'm going to shuffle these up. And then what we're going to do, we're going to put them face down. And then we're just going to pick a card off the top. And that'll be the next card we talk about. And we won't worry about being out of sync because there's a finite number of cards. Okay, so, I don't know why I'm shuffling them so much.
It's really important.
Very important, very important that it's completely random.
Shall I cut them?
So
they are so well shuffled.
I've got to stop. I must stop.
Well,
do you
want to draw first?
Oh, glasses on.
Glasses on.
And the first card we'll be discussing today is, we've already discussed it.
Oh.
So it is the Light of Valinor.
Oh, yes, sir.
So the reason why I went, we've already discussed it, is because we actually mentioned this card when we were discussing the heroes from Dwarrowdelf. Because, let me read the card and we'll go over it again and we'll talk in a bit more depth. So this is Light of Valinor. It is a spirit attachment and it costs 1. And it is a condition attachment. And it states, attached to a Noldor or Sylvan hero. Attached hero does not exhaust to commit to a quest. Okay, now that in itself sounds fantastic. You can attach this to a hero and he doesn't have to exhaust to commit to a quest. How beautiful is that? Okay, there is a condition. It is a condition attachment that a hero has to be Noldor or Sylvan. But as we discussed when we were discussing the heroes, this card can be useful on lots of different heroes, but really it's designed for one specific hero, who is Glorfindel.
One of my absolute favourites.
So I don't have Glorfindel available.
I've got Glorfindel here.
Okay, so maybe a little reminder of Glorfindel.
So Glorfindel is obviously a hero. He's Noldor, noble and warrior. He's got a starting threat of 5.
Oh, yeah, exceptionally low.
Very low. He quests for free. He hits for free. He's only got 1 shield, but he's got 5 hit points. So he's already pretty terrific. But he has a forced effect, which is after Glorfindel exhausts to commit to a quest, raise your threat by 1.
Yeah.
So the key thing there being after Glorfindel exhausts. Yeah. And this card is specifically around attached hero does not exhaust to commit to a quest.
Yeah.
So what that means is if you have the Light of Valinor on Glorfindel, I think it was what we discussed last time, wasn't it? That he can use his 3 questing ability, and then you can still use him to do whatever else you want to do.
Exactly, because your threat only goes up when he exhausts to commit to a quest. So you can still use him to attack, you use him to defend, and it means that you get basically a very cheap in starting threat hero, and it keeps your starting threat very low. And if you can get Light of Valinor out early, preferably in your starting hand, because it costs 1. So if it's in your starting hand, you can immediately play it out with your resource from Glorfindel. You attach it to him, and then he never has to exhaust to commit to quest. Your threat never rises, because that's the caveat of Glorfindel. He has a low starting threat, but each time he exhausts a quest, your threat goes up. So it's a race against the clock to get Light of Valinor onto him.
Absolutely. So if Glorfindel, I guess a hero like that would maybe have something like normally would have maybe an 11 or a 12 starting threat or something, which is 6 or 7 or whatever.
If you remember,
rounds.
Glorfindel was a Corsair.
Oh, that's
hero
right. I think he was 12, wasn't he?
I think he did. He had a ridiculously high starting
threat. He did,
So therefore, he never really got played by anyone because it was too high, especially in those early quests when we had fewer cards. He was too high to use. So they basically went, okay, what if he had a really low starting threat, but be careful if you quest him, and then Light of Valinor came along and just put all that to bed.
All that to bed. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I've used this card a lot with Glorfindel. It's terrific. Probably worth noting as well that it is unique.
Yes.
So you can't put one of these on all of your Noldor and Sylvan heroes. It can only go on one. And it only costs one, which is
amazing.
Terrific. In terms of the theming of this as well, in fact, I've got a couple more things to say about this card. So it's got a little quote from Gandalf from the Fellowship of the Ring. And it says, "Those who have dwelt in the blessed realm live at once in both worlds, and against both the seen and the unseen, they have great power." And then the artwork is an elf, which could be Glorfindel or whoever, looking out across this sort of lake up to the moon, which I guess is the representation of the light of Valinor.
Exactly.
And I kind of love, well, first of all, that artwork is absolutely terrific.
Stunning.
Absolutely love that. Who is that? That's Limbo. Limbo has done in Limbo.
In Limbo.
But Limbo has done an absolutely terrific job here. That's really evocative artwork. And I love the theming of this.
Yeah.
Which is, why is the hero not exhausting to commit to a quest? Because the light is showing them the way to have it, the ability against both the seen and the unseen. They have great power,
exactly.
So the light is lighting their way, therefore aiding them in the quest. And I really, so everything about this card, I really adore, to be honest with you.
And I must say, I mean, there's very few cards where I'd say if you're playing X hero or Y hero, you must play this. If you're playing Glorfindel, put Light of Valinor in your deck. There is absolutely no reason not to.
Yeah.
Unless you want to just challenge yourself.
Well, I think I mentioned this last time. This is around the time when I first ever used a 2-hero deck, which is really for secrecy and keeping that your threat down. So Glorfindel's a great choice for this, but obviously when your threat goes up every round, your odds of being able to stay in that sort of that secrecy sort of zone diminish. So this card also really helps with all of the secrecy piece as well.
I think it's faultless.
Green light for the Light of Valinor.
Okay, I don't think much more to say about that one. I think we can jump ahead, and hopefully it'll be one that we haven't talked about before.
Okay, shall I draw the next card?
Go ahead.
The next one is. Oh no! I was hoping not to get this one. I got it straight off the bat. I couldn't say the name of the film I saw 2 weeks ago. So good luck with this. I'm going to give it a go.
Give it your best shot.
Elbereth Gilfoniel.
I knew it was going to be this one. I'm so happy you got it. I'm so happy you got it.
What's the one we struggled with in the past?
We struggled with a lot.
No, there was one in particular, which we both struggled to say. I can't remember. Elbereth. Well, you got to say it with an exclamation mark. Elbereth Gilfoniel.
I think you deserve this.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Oh my goodness. So, dear listener, this is the first time I've seen in the flesh John's fairly new toy, which helps us mix and create the podcast. And I think we talked about that before as well. We've got
all the sound. Don't get me. Do not tempt me.
Who knows what? Don't tempt me.
Tempt me. I've actually just when I was flicking through the panels there to find that well-deserved round of applause, I saw another one. I thought, I know, I'm going to use that one later. So this is definitely the first of 2 sound effects you'll be hearing today.
Terrific.
So once again, what is it called, Em?
It's called Elbereth Gilfoniel. Thank you. And it has a whopping cost of 4. Oof. Which in the artwork, someone is recoiling from instantly.
I was going to say, this looks like a wraith recoiling, and I understand.
Right, so what does this card do? So this is an event. and it's secrecy 4. So 4 is obviously a very expensive card.
Yeah.
With secrecy, it costs you 0.
Naught.
Response. After a non-unique enemy attacks you, put that enemy on the bottom of the encounter deck. If your threat is lower than that enemy's engagement cost, set your threat equal to the engagement cost of that enemy.
Okay.
So this is a really interesting card, actually.
Yeah.
And especially for secrecy. So in the past, I've actually used this a fair bit, not for a while. So things to bear in mind here. So this is just for non-unique enemies. So you can't use this against some of your bigger, nastier enemies who tend to be unique.
And that basically, if you need a reminder of, I mean, obviously you can see on the cards which ones are unique and which ones are not. But the easiest way to remember is if they have a name of some sort, they will be unique.
Yeah, it's for symbol. Is it? Yeah, it's for. Do they have that on the encounter deck cards as well? The round symbol next to the actual name at the top there, which says whether it's unique or not.
They must.
They must do. I think they do, don't they?
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be purely relying on the fact that they have a name. I'm almost certain they do. I'm thinking back to the named trolls.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain they have that next to their name, the little star. I mean, that is the symbol for uniqueness.
That is the symbol. That is the symbol. Yeah. Yeah, so after a non-unique enemy attacks, put that enemy on the bottom of the encounter deck. So that's, if you're playing secrecy, it's a free feint. No, not even a feint. No, you're getting rid of that enemy. You're dodging the enemy and you put it at the bottom of the encounter deck. Obviously, the downside is if your threat is lower than the enemy's engagement cost, you must set your threat equal to that engagement cost of that enemy. So yeah, if you're playing secrecy, as a reminder, you need to stay at 20 or less threat. For you to be able to play any of the secrecy effects.
Well, no, you need to be. You could still play this card, but you'd have to pay 4.
Pay 4
with the secrecy 4. If your threat was lower than 20, you could pay 0.
Yeah, exactly. So it's for the secrecy effects to take hold. You must be sort of 20 or less. So this one, what I have tended to do in the past with this is, well, first of all, if the engagement cost of that enemy is low anyway, you might be okay, but they do tend to be above 20 most of the time. So you got to be a bit careful about using it.
Yes. So now I understand. So you'll be optionally engaging a higher threat enemy because your threat is so low, and then if you're going to take this effect, you got to be in danger that you're going to push your threat up. That's very clever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really clever. The theming's great. So to be borne in mind, even without secrecy, it's actually still quite powerful, but really expensive.
Now, I have a question. It says, after a non-unique enemy attacks you, put that enemy on the bottom of the encounter deck. Now, my question is one of timing. I presume, and maybe this is a wrong presumption, it still inflicts damage from that attack.
No, I don't think so. Does it? Because you haven't resolved that attack. Because it's like the way I look at it. Oh God, there's not more inverted cheating here, is there?
I think I'm smelling in some inverted cheating from across the table.
Let me. God damn it! Do you know what thinking I take with this is around the Gondorian Spearman?
Yes.
So, which is also after an enemy attacks,
and you inflict 1 damage.
But again, does say after.
After an enemy, so with the Gondorian Spearman, after an enemy
attacks you, or is it after an enemy declares an attack? Is that what it says on Gondorian Spearman? Okay. After an enemy declares. Ooh, you see, interesting already. This is my first card.
I know.
I had to say it, and now I'm going to be having proved to be cheating
again. Okay, so Caleb Grace discussed this card. Let us see what he had to say.
You know what? I'm wrong about Gondorian Spearman. That response for Gondorian Spearman is after Gondorian Spearman is declared as a defender.
Yes.
So it's not after an attack or after a declaration of an attack.
This person says that it's good, but it's good as provided you can weather one attack from the enemy.
Okay, fine. So it's a desperation thing. So yeah, you have to take the attack and then you slip by him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe some inadvertent cheating in the past.
I think probably. Yes.
Yeah, safe bet.
Safe bet. Yeah.
Safe bet.
To be honest, though, no, sorry.
No, I was going to say. I was just going to say. I have no knowledge of these words. I'm not going to attempt to say it. I do not covet a round of applause. But I think I believe, looking at this, that this is. I would probably say this looks like one of Tolkien's song names. I mean, I could Google it, but I'm not going to.
That's because you have to be able to spell it first.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said, but I'm not going to.
Well, I've looked it up.
Oh,
this is actually on Wikipedia. Elbereth Gifoniel, which only has an exclamation mark at the end. It is an elvish hymn to Varda. There you go. Very good. It is the longest piece of Sindarin in The Lord of the Rings. So it's probably it's hugely long.
Pages upon pages.
In fact, it's got a picture of the first stanza.
Oh my goodness.
And, okay, there are 3 versions of it. The first of which is the largest portion of Sindarin Lord of the Rings. I could read it.
No.
There's lots of exclamation marks.
I think they were very sharply spoken, some of these elves. I do love the artwork, by the way. I'm just still looking at it.
Yeah.
It's really like with the wraith there. I believe it's a wraith, just cowering in fear.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, so I think this card is too expensive, not in a secrecy deck.
Yeah, agreed.
The fact that you have to weather but the difference, of course, in not being a secrecy deck is that if you played it just outright and you wanted to get rid of a nasty non-unique troll, for instance, as long as you can take one hit from it and then send it to the bottom of the deck, there are times when I would pay 4. And then you're not too worried about your threat going up because you're not playing secrecy.
And if you are playing secrecy, in my experience, you tend to have as many cards as you can to get your threat down anyway. So there are ways to circumvent that too.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm not 100% convinced, but I can really see its purpose. And I like the theming of it in secrecy for sure.
Yeah. Not a cracker like Valinor, but okay. Yeah, serves a purpose. Let's move on from what we're moving on from.
That card.
That'll do.
So moving on from the previous card onto what I like to call the next card. This is Ever My Heart Rises. Cost of 0. And it is an attachment. Again, a condition attachment. And it states, attached to a dwarf character. Response. After you travel to a mountain or underground location, ready attached character and reduce your threat by 1. Now, for a cost of 0, this is a no-brainer, especially during the Dwarrowdelf cycle, where nearly every location we go to is either a mountain or an underground location. I mean, this is great just to put it on any dwarf, of course. But I'm a big fan of playing this on our friend Tharlin, because he's not much of a quester. However, it's very important to quest with Tharlin to get that 1 hit point if any enemy gets revealed from the encounter deck. So, but then you've the problem with that, of course, is you have Tharlin then exhausted for the rest of the round,
and he's quite a good
fighter. So it's a really nice card to get onto Tharlin, because then you can just if of course you believe you're going to be traveling to a mountain or underground location, of course, but chances are if you're playing with Tharlin, you are, I would say 90% of the time, questing with him every round.
Yeah.
So I put it on Tharlin, quest with him. If an enemy comes out, you deal a damage. And then if you travel to one of these locations, you can ready him. And if you don't, say la vie.
Yeah. And reduce your threat by 1.
Not
to be
sniffed at.
Yeah.
Not to be sniffed at. Yeah. So
sniffed.
Sniffed or scoffed.
Yeah, either. Not to be done.
Yeah, I mean, a beautiful artwork. Again, is
Yeah.
it's light passing through
Yes.
mountains. I mean, it's not light passing through trees, which are normally our favorite, but light passing through mountains.
That'll do.
That will do indeed. It's beautiful.
I like the quote on this as well. "This is more to my liking," said the dwarf, stamping on the stones. "Ever my heart rises as we draw near the mountains." The two towers. I like the way the dwarf in this quote is apparently nameless.
Yeah.
Attach it to any dwarf character. Any dwarf character
Yes.
as well. So you can use this for allies too. So if you've got there are a couple of dwarfs out there who are very useful for questing.
Yes.
So they can be ready just to bear that in mind. Doesn't have to be a hero.
Yep. Absolutely. Good card. Cost of naught.
We like that.
Very happy with that. But I think I think there's not much more to say about that.
So not ever, not forever. Our heart rises. just
Fleetingly.
fleetingly, our heart rises. Okay, next one. Oh, it's another cost of naught. It is Elrond's Council. So this isn't the Council of Elrond, it's Elrond's Council. He's
yes.
giving you a bit of advice.
Bit of advice.
This is an event. Action. If you control a unique Noldor character, give another character +1 willpower until the end of the phase and lower your threat by 3.
Wow.
Wow. For a cost of naught. Elrond has sorted you right out. So this is super, super useful. Great artwork there again, must be said. With Elrond. And who do you think's sitting with him? That's Gandalf. And it's probably, is that Galadriel? What do you think? No. Maybe. And they're the three people you want advice from. It's one hell of a council. But yes, this card is super useful. So I mainly use this in secrecy to reduce threat, because you can put 3 of these in your hand. You know, as when you get them, you use a total of 9 in total.
Yeah.
And you can add an extra willpower each time, and it costs nothing.
Yes.
Even without secrecy. So great for secrecy, but great without secrecy either. Just really useful.
Definitely use this a lot in non-secretive decks.
You shall not know my deck. But yes, I mean, I don't know what more there is to say about this. I mean, just hugely useful.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you need to control a unique Noldor character, and it's not necessarily a hero. It could be.
True. Yeah.
But then it would have to be a named one. So I think you'd be looking at.
Well, there's somebody coming along in this very deck, I think.
This was Haldir Noldor.
Haldir. Ooh. Well,
we had Haldir.
I'm just looking here on Dwarrowdelf. Eladan is noble.
You are Eladan and Elrohir.
Sorry, it's Noldor. Yeah,
because they're Elrond's sons.
Great team. Glorfindel's Noldor. Someone else coming up in a minute is unique Noldor as well. Elrohir is. Oh, it's Eristor.
Eristor, yeah.
Is Eristor unique? I guess must be, right?
Eristor is named, yeah.
Yeah, Eristor's unique.
So there's quite a few, eh?
It's quite a few.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's simple, but it helps you boost your questing ability and it reduces your threat. What's not to like?
Right up my street. it's the most spirity of spirit cards,
yes,
isn't it?
It really is. It does. What does spirit do?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Okay.
Elrond's Council, a big thumbs up.
Okay.
That's 2 in a row with a cost of naught. This must be pleasing you particularly greatly.
Very much.
And in fact, with secrecy for, Elbereth Gilfoniel, that's also free. Thank you. So far, you paid 1 for Light of Valinor, which is absolute bargain basement anyway. So this has been a very cost-effective set of cards so far.
Well, I have in my
are things
hand.
about to change?
Well, no.
Oh.
I have in my hand an event. Cost of naught.
Oh.
Renewed friendship.
Ah, yes.
Now, there are a couple of cards in this set which I've played very little of because they are very much designed for 2 or 3 or 4 player games. And it's no secret that we play the majority of our games solo. But we have played we've played a fair share of games together, so we do know how these cards work. But, full disclosure, these are not going to be frequent flyers. So this is Renewed Friendship, and it's an event that costs naught, and it has a response. It says, after another player plays an attachment on a hero you control, you may choose one. Ready one of that player's heroes, have that player draw one card, or lower that player's threat by 2. So, even if we were playing together, I wouldn't play this. It's far too selfless.
It's not up your street, is it?
Absolutely not.
It's the kind of card I would put in my deck.
No, but joking aside, it's a beautiful theme to it.
Actually, you know what? You would be forced to do something nice to me if I use this on you. You have to choose one. After
another player plays in touch with... No, you're still the one who chooses it.
Oh, it's a response to another player playing it.
So what this would be basically if I would play Steward of Gondor on one of your heroes, for instance.
Yeah.
Because you can always play attachments onto another player's characters they control. So if you're holding Renewed Friendship and I play Steward of Gondor onto your hero, for instance, you could, as a response, play this event.
Play Renewed Friendship, yeah.
So then I would have played the attachment onto one of your heroes, and then you would get to choose to either ready one of my heroes, which is interesting, by the way, because...
I was thinking about this, because most of the time, it'll be you play attachments at the start,
At the start, exactly. So there will be the odd occasion that a hero will already be exhausted. That would normally be to trigger an effect.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to trigger a hero's effect, exhaust them, and then play out a attachment, you could then immediately respond. And now that Table Talk has opened up, you could just say, hey, I've got this card in my hand. Gone are the days where you'd have to say, if you were to exhaust that character, and then, for instance,
what have you days gone?
We never really got around to discussing this, but in the latest release of the game, there's a renewed how to play, and in that it has a new section of Table Talk, and essentially they've just scrapped it. They basically just say. By scrapped it, I mean scrapped the ridiculous. Yeah. You shouldn't directly mention what's in your hand. You've got to keep that secret. They basically said that Table Talk is encouraged, and you should. It's a cooperative game, and you should do whatever you wish to in order to be able to play that.
And it was so hard to enforce because it doesn't make sense.
Such a ridiculous thing, because you just go, I don't know. Maybe I have a old wizardy man in my hand that could help you out. I don't want to say who he is.
Or you draw your card, you think, oh, thank God you're here.
Yeah. So, it was a ridiculous rule. But now that that's gone, it's much easier. You can just say, if you were to exhaust that, you would get, I don't know, whatever that effect would be. And then you can play an attachment on me and I can get him ready again for you. So I do think that's probably the least useful of the options of what you receive, but because drawing one card is always nice, and lowering a player's threat by 2
could be critical.
Could be critical indeed.
In fact, I guess the other scenario is, are there ways? The other 2 things come to mind about the attachment. The first choice about
the
readying a player's heroes. Yeah, so you play an attachment at the beginning. I guess sometimes a hero can be not refreshed at the end of the round because they got some other nasty attachment on them or something, or they're in a sack or whatever it is.
Caught in a
web, all of that kind of stuff. So it could be useful for that. And is there also a way to play attachments not resource phase, in the planning phase? Yeah. I guess for traps and stuff like that,
your traps, you have to set.
No, you have to
set
do that
early.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I'm sure
there's probably some cards somewhere it says play it.
Yeah, but not as a
generally.
Rule. As a rule, no. Yeah. It's always then. That is the official time when you're allowed to play attachments. I'm sure 100% there are ways to play attachments out of phase, but no. So I think actually a really nice card for a cost of naught, but
Yeah.
obviously only useful in multiplayer.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, there are sometimes that you see these cards where you go, oh yeah, that's obviously designed for multiplayer, but you can see that there's potentially use. This one is absolutely staying in the binder if you play single player, solo. If you play solo. Alrighty, I'm a little nervous by the artwork.
Yes, I was thinking that. It's nice. I like what it represents. But yeah, it's an accident waiting to happen, isn't it? Be careful.
So what we're looking at here is someone is lowering they're either lowering a sword or someone has just released a sword being passed upwards, but I believe someone is lowering the hilt of a sword down towards someone to draw the sword. And yeah, one, you know, if you're not paying attention, you're going to lose a finger or two there, I think.
Yeah, well, your friend will.
Yeah, or your friend will. Yeah.
Renewed friendship. Choose one. Chop off your partner's fingers. Yeah.
Okay. That is that. And surely the next one is going to cost some sort of resource.
We've spent barely one resource so far, I think. What do we have? Well, this one costs one as well. I have an attachment, and it's a Miravor. Oh, yes. It's my favourite. It's of type item. Attached to a hero. It's not restricted. So, action. Discard Miravor to choose 2. Ready attach hero. Add 1 resource to attach hero's resource pool. Attach hero gets +1 willpower until the end of a round. Or put Miravor on the top of your deck.
Okay.
Now, I am a big fan of Miravor.
Me too. Delicious.
Isn't it? And the artwork is showing a kind of flask, I guess, with some kind of refresher. Oh, what is Miravor? It must be some kind of...
it is deep in the back of my head. I think it's like an elven elixir.
It's got to be to wash down your lambert spread, isn't it?
Oh, that is dry.
Yeah.
Oh, that is dry. But I think it is like a healing, like it gives you energy. I've
just looked it up on Tolkien's internet, on Tolkien Gateway. So, okay. Miravor and Miravore, I guess that's pronounced, I don't know, were types of cordial used by the Valar and the elves. It was a mead or nectar of the Valar, of which the elves did not know the ingredients or making. They thought it was made of the honey or nectar of certain flowers in Valinor. It was poured during their festivals in Valinor. Well, there you go. So yes, good old, wholesome elvish nectar.
Oh, there you go. No, okay, so and so what can we do with this? So we attach it to a hero. Okay, so the first thing you do, you have to. So it's interesting because this one you attach during the planning, but then the effect of it is at which point you want to discard it.
Yeah, any action window.
Yeah, so you would think, well, as soon as you have the option to play it, you should. And actually, I stand by that. There are definitely, of course, quests in which the encounter deck is going to make you discard attachments. But it's probably worth the risk as soon as you have this in your hand, get it attached to a hero that you think is going to survive, because then you never know when you're going to want this effect to take place. And it's best to have a Miravor and not need it, and then to need a Miravor and not have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we attach it during planning, and then at the point where you wish to utilize these effects, you then discard the card. So let's go through. So we get to choose 2 of these. So first one, add 1 resource to the attached hero's resource pool.
The first one's ready attached hero.
Oh, sorry.
Which is a mega one.
Well, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, okay, of course. So that's obviously useful if you've quested and you're in desperate need to suddenly defend an attack or indeed to perform an attack. You can discard this and ready that hero.
You run, then have a sip of water, then you turn back and fight the guy.
Yes.
Then you run again, have another sip.
So obviously we love the ability to ready heroes. That is good. Add 1 resource. money. Back to back to ABBA. Attached hero gets +1 willpower until the end of the round. Okay, so that's interesting. So that really is mostly useful, of course, during questing. So then you would have to decide if you're going to choose that one. You could still use the regging. That's also true. You could exhaust a hero to quest, discard this card, get the extra willpower for that quest, and then ready that hero. That's a really nice combination.
Yep.
Or the final one is put Mirror on the top of your deck. Now, this is an interesting one. It's something I never used to do. And then I realized that it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Especially if you need to do any resource smoothing. And I use that phrase quite often, but that's basically what I mean is that maybe if you're playing a tri-sphere deck, it's sometimes difficult to get enough resource in the sphere you need with the cards that you have in your hand. It's the way the cards have been drawn. And so you need to find a way of moving resources around or generating specific resources for a particular hero. So if you know, I've got these expensive leadership or expensive tactics cards in my hand and I've got no way of paying for them, you could play Mirror onto, Aragorn or Boromir or whichever hero you need those resources on. You could play it out, discard it, grab a resource into that hero's pool, put Mirror back onto your deck.
Then the spirit guy spends it again.
And then you immediately draw it, or maybe you have to wait to the next round, draw it. As you say, the spirit hero pays for it, and then you add the resource back. And you're basically essentially moving one resource from your spirit hero to your lore.
That's right. I guess, I never really thought of that. I guess because I've never really played Tri-Sphere before. It's something I've really got to try. That's a really interesting one. I think being able to put it back on the top of your deck is great for. First of all, the theming's great. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get a massive swig and do 2 of these things, or you just take a bit and save a bit for later.
Save a bit for later.
Love that.
That's really nice.
But I was tending to use this. Well, actually, I would use it for multiple things, but most common one for me is if I needed to, quest and fight with a hero, then you can ready for hero and pop it back on the top of your deck.
Yeah.
Really useful if you're drawing more than one card.
Yeah.
That's the other thing as well. If you've got cards you kind of need in the short term, really useful. Or if you're in the other case, if you're drawing more than one card, then you'll get another card as well as Mirror back in your hand. So that was my biggest use of it when you were a bit hero light in terms of getting them ready.
I think it's really. For me, when I'm playing a spirit deck, playing a spirit hero in a deck, not necessarily a spirit deck, I think this is really one of my go-to cards. It's so what's the word I'm looking for? It's a real utility card.
Yeah, exactly.
It can really you can really use this when you need it, and that's also the great thing that you play it out, and you don't have to use it immediately. You can go, okay, let's keep this here, and when it's necessary, you can bring it into action.
It's so, and the theming of it is great as well. Mm-hmm. And if you've got 3 of these, you can just whack them onto your heroes. They can always carry it around, and you can use it whenever you want. Absolutely. So you don't have to play it out of your hand. Just get it out straight away, get it onto all the heroes, and then they've got their Mirror.
Beautiful,
beautiful,
brilliant card.
Okay, another thumbs up for Mirror. Well, we've spent 2 in total so far, I think.
This cannot last.
It can't last. Well, let's see.
Oh, was it me or you?
I read that one, I think.
Did
I?
Well,
did I read that?
No,
yes, I did.
Yes,
I did.
Okay. So, moving on to the next one. Here we go. It's one we've discussed before. It's an ally card, cost of 3. So this one now we're out of pocket, and it's a great card. This is Boffer. He's a unique ally. I'm immediately drawn to the artwork here. So there's a very, very old and sturdy dwarf. He's seen it all on Boffer. I mean, Boffer, of course, is around since The Hobbit. and he's very windswept.
Extremely windswept.
I have not seen such a windswept dwarf.
He doesn't look happy about it.
He's not pleased. Why have we come this way?
Should have gone through the mines.
Yeah, why is he going over the hill? Cost of 3, and he has willpower of 2. So good questing ability. He'll hit for 1, defend for 1, and he has 3 hit points. So he's not much of a fighter, but definitely we've seen worse. And he is dwarf.
He is dwarf.
And Boffer has a quest action. So this action can only be played during the quest phase. And it says, spend 1 spirit resource to put Boffer into play from your hand, exhausted and committed to a quest. If you quest successfully this phase and Boffer is still in play, return him to your hand. And I'm just going to go straight into the quote. Just says, "Get up, lazy bones." And that's from The Hobbit.
Sorry. No, I think that's the shortest quote we've had so far.
I wish people would say
Get up, lazy bones. We need to walk across an extremely windy hill.
Yeah. Do you think he is being told this, or do you think he is telling this?
I suspect he's telling.
He looks like the
kind of guy who's
He doesn't look lazy.
No, he doesn't. But he does look annoyed about the fact he has to do this work. Bit grumpy. That's why people like Boffer.
That's a different collection of dwarves.
We should have cards for them, shouldn't we? With actions. Dopey would be just like the Wandering Took.
Yeah, You're mixing your dwarves and your hobbits, man.
Doc would be good.
Dog would be handy.
I'm not sure about Sneezy. I think Boffer could be turning into Sneezy after this wind.
After this wind. We've all been there, Boffer. We've all been there. Now, we have discussed Boffer because he's been a staple in my decks during the Dwarrowdelf cycle, but we'll discuss him in a little bit more detail now. Basically, there are 2 ways, or probably there's multiple ways of playing Boffer, but there are 2 main ways to play Boffer. So to break it down again, it's a quest action. So you could just play Boffer out as an ally from your hand and pay 3 for him. Perfectly legitimate. I mean, I'm going to tell you now, don't do that. Because
I have done it in the past.
I've done it in the past, but it's
generally when you're in the point now where you're very safe on the questing.
So what you can do during the quest action is you can spend 1 spirit resource. So it costs 3 normally, but you can spend 1 during the quest phase to put Boffer into play from your hand. But when he comes in, he's already exhausted and committed to a quest. So order of events is you would decide who you're going to quest your heroes and your allies, and then during any of the subsequent action windows in that quest phase, you can choose to play Boffer by spending 1 resource and bringing him in, committed to that quest that you're already committed to. Now, when I first started playing the game with Boffer many years ago, I played it incorrectly, and I actually made it harder for myself.
Did you do what I used to do with Faramir until you told me?
What did you used to do with Faramir?
Well,
what you get up to in your own time with Faramir?
So Faramir, with what I was doing with him was before I was calculating all the questing and everything, I'd commit him to the quest rather than wait to see. Well, let's see how the quest goes, and then you can
decide if you
need to use it or not.
Yeah.
So I was doing that all the time until you pointed that out a long time back now. But when you discussed that, was that the similar kind of thing you were doing?
Yeah, indeed, exactly. Yeah. So I would be going, well, actually, okay, I'll bring him in now and get my extra 2 questing ability from his willpower, and then I would reveal cards from the encounter deck and see what happens with the quest. But actually, you don't need to do that at all. Exactly same with Faramir. You can stage from the encounter deck, and if you go, oh, I'm a bit short on my questing here,
it's dwarf.
You can then choose to bring Boffer in for a cost of 1, he'll already be committed to the quest and give you that extra 2 willpower that could maybe help push you through. Okay, so that's just how the game works. So, but that's one way to play him.
Yeah. So you're effectively playing 1 spirit resource to get 2 extra willpower.
Indeed.
And then Backy pops into your hand if you're successful.
So if you quest successfully, if you calculate, well, I know I'm going to quest successfully now, then once he's done his business,
Backy pops.
Gets blown off of the mountain, straight back into your hand. Yeah. Now, so that's one way to play him. But another way to play him, which is actually how I tend to play him more, is I will pay 1 spirit resource to play him from my hand, exhausted and committed to the quest, when I know I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
And then
you get buffer for 1.
I get buffer for 1.
Yeah.
I'll take buffer for 1.
So you never really have to pay 3 for buffer.
No.
Unless it doesn't make any difference to that if you're a bit minted.
Exactly. So it's best to not quest unsuccessfully too often, but if you know you can take the threat hit or it's not going to have any real ill effects, there's really no problem to do so. And then you get a very decent ally for a very cheap rate.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's buffer. I think he's incredibly useful.
Yeah, no, he's terrific. Really good buffer. Yeah. And of course, you can play him in any spirit deck. Doesn't have to be a dwarf-based thing. Just really, really useful card. We like buffer.
And
also, if you've got 3 buffers, if he does end up going in, you can always chump him. Yep. And then it will take just another 1 to get him out again.
The resurrection of buffer.
Resurrection of buffer. Now, don't give him ideas, John. That'll be the next film. And then they'll do a comedy spin-off called Get Up Lazy Bones. The Hobbit 4. starring Sleepy.
Oh, the crossover. Oh no, please.
Somebody somewhere.
Someone's doing the calculations as we speak. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I need to get that sound effect.
Oh yes, that's what we need.
Oh no, that's lovely.
Oh god, yeah, any kind of resource. That's what we need. We need thematic effects. So we can have a cha-ching for
resources.
We can have some kind of swords or metal clanging for fighting. Yeah. What would you do for willpower though? Get up, lazy bones.
Get up, lazy bones.
Okay, but that's really thematic, actually.
Yeah.
Get up, lazy bones, isn't it? He's just going to drive you on for 2 extra. Come on, off you get.
Let's do it.
That is thematic. There's so many little, even in the little quotes.
They're so smart.
Very good.
Excellent.
Well done, team.
Okay, let's move on to
Let's move on. Down the escalator, round she goes. Where we end up, nobody knows. Oh, we have an ally who costs 2, and it's Imladris Stargazer. You'd been waiting. Oh no, you were so quick to press it.
I told you I already knew there was one effect that was coming later.
Well, Imladris Stargazer.
I think it's Imladris.
Imladris.
Imladris is the...
Imladris. My pronunciation wasn't always correct.
I think Imladris is the elven name for Rivendell.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's Imladris Stargazer. So she is a Noldor. Now, she doesn't have the best stats.
Well, I don't know.
Well, to be discussed. Right. Cost of 2, you get no willpower.
Naught.
You get hit for naught. You get 1 shield and a measly 1 hit point.
She is gonna die.
So Imladris Stargazer is an Noldor, and as an action, exhaust Imladris Stargazer to choose a player. That player, tension. That player looks at the top 5 cards of his deck and returns them to the top of his deck in any order. Well, woe and behold, Imladris Stargazer. She's absolutely. She's absolutely. This now, I'm sure you will agree with this as well. One of my absolute favourite cards in this whole cycle.
It is absolutely top of the list for me. Well, no, okay. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. I'm not going to speculate which is absolutely top, but if I had to choose the top 5 and then put them back in any order, she'd
been there.
She'd be definitely up the top. No, it is an unbelievably good card. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, we are about to start waxing lyrical about this. Yes. So stats, absolutely correct. Dreadful. She is going to die if anything comes off the encounter deck which inflicts 1 damage to any of your allies. She's gone.
Yeah.
She is not a fighter.
Nope.
No, but I mean, she's a dreamer.
Yes, that's exactly what she is. Exactly how I see this as well. You have to do everything to protect her.
Yeah.
Because she has one incredible gift which no one else has.
Exactly.
She's a stargazer. She's a dreamer.
Yeah. So let's look at the thing. I mean, for a start, let's look at the card and then we'll look at the theme. The card itself is exceptionally powerful. So we play out Imlada Stargazer.
That wasn't me.
And then what I would tend to do is obviously try and keep her alive. And then at the point when you get towards the end of a quest, I would try to be looking at what we want to bring into our hand next. So then you, because she can still defend. So at a pinch, if you think that someone is only going to hit for 1, you could defend with her. But I would say you really want to keep her readied in order to perform her action. So you exhaust her, and then you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then see what's available, see what you need next, move those cards in any order. You don't even have to, it could be just, what do you need right now? Yeah. What do you need? Like, I want this one now, and I'll take this one next. And you can really do that. And I must say, I just skipped over this, but it's important to note that in a multiplayer game, you can allow your partner to take that action. So you perform it, but you can say, please take a look at your deck and rearrange your top 5 cards.
And the great thing about that, when you're playing solo, you really only need 1 Imladra Stargazer in your hand or on the table at any point.
Yeah.
But if you're playing 2-player, you can have 2 out. She's not unique.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have 2 out, and you can use 1 for both of you if you're playing 2-player every single round. So both of you can control your decks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so useful. This is, when I was doing all the secrecy stuff, this was mega, mega, mega useful. And it's useful anyway. It's amazing anyway. But if you just had to get your threat reduced, you can get that threat reduction card right to the top. But obviously that's not just secrecy. Any scenario you can use this for. And what's interesting is, what were you tending to, I guess there's a couple of ways to do it, just in the subtleties of when you do this. Because there's an action window. Is there not an action window right at the beginning? So we have to draw your card, right?
Yeah.
But then, when would you typically be using it? I think most of the time I would be doing it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And seeing then because then that 5th card now, after you've drawn your card, what's your 5th one now? And then you can.
Of course, if she's already on the table, it's important for timing. If you've already got her out, you could activate her. That sounds wrong, but during that resource phase, that's the small action window we discussed last episode, and then you could see your cards then before the planning phase, which is when you would draw a card. Now, is that correct, or do you draw during the resource phase?
It's an interesting one.
I'm going to look that up, the exact order of that. But regardless, you have to be a little bit careful because, of course, you couldn't play her out and then exhaust her to perform the action, and that before you drew your card, because definitely the playing out of the allies happens during planning, and then you've definitely already drawn your cards.
Yes.
So you then have to sort of balance. Well, is she going to survive? So that's also an important factor.
That's why I tended to use her immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if you've drawn a card, you've drawn a card one round, sometimes you draw her and then you just play her immediately and then immediately exhaust her and start looking at what's coming next. So I'm just going to very, very quickly look at the order of the phases and the action windows here. Okay, so phase 1 is the resource phase. Okay, and it does say it's noted that it's performed simultaneously by all players, so there's no particular order of when you perform the resource phase, but I think that's by the by. It is at that point you gain a resource and draw a card. So there is there is no action window at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so it's at the end of the round. Okay.
Yeah. So before you draw a card. So if you draw a card, get your resource. Then there's the small action window I discussed last episode.
Okay, so that's only after you've got your resources.
So you wouldn't be able to play her at that point because you have to play her in the planning.
Yeah.
When you would play her out, then you could exhaust her, obviously. But I think, we may be making it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, but essentially I would try and exhaust her as soon as possible because she is so fragile.
Yeah. And the other thing because once you've played your card in the resource, then you got one card which if you've played her in the previous round, you got now another card which you don't know about, which might be really useful. So what I mean is, if you use her right at the end of the whole round and you look at your top 5 cards, then in the resource you're getting the first card.
Yes.
Then you know what numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are, but you don't know what number 6 is, which is now going to be in the top 5.
Yes.
And why this is useful is, generally speaking, doesn't make that much difference. But the other situation I found her really super useful was when you're playing Elrond with Vilya, the ring.
You'll have to remind me.
So what Vilya is? So we've covered this.
We have covered it.
So Vilya is, just as a reminder. Let me just bring it up. So it's a neutral card attachment. Costs 2. It's a ring. It's an artifact, and it's attached to Elrond, who gains a spirit resource icon. Mm-hmm. Elrond being a lore hero, and the action is exhaust Elrond and Vilya to reveal the top card of your deck. You can immediately play or put into play the revealed card for no cost.
Yes.
Right, which is unbelievably powerful. Otherwise, move a revealed card to the bottom of your deck. So that's powerful anyway, but sometimes you might get an event or something which, that's really useful. I'm going to put it bottom to Imladris Stargazer gives you the ability to completely control that.
Absolutely.
So once you got that ring, so this is probably some combinations which start to happen. You got Elrond with Vilya, and you got Imladris Stargazer out there. Sorry, then that's superbly powerful, and you can put in, so you can, if there's a really expensive card you can't afford, even whack that to the top, get it out.
That's it. But that's the thing. You have an expensive ally, you got Haldir or Gandalf, or you just go, okay, let's get him to the top, and then let's. I was going to say tickle Elrond's ring. That's a mistake. I'm not going to say that.
Don't do that.
So
he won't thank you for it.
You can activate Elrond with his ring, and then boom, free Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
beautiful.
Oh, free anything.
Free anything. Yeah, but the more expensive, the better the value.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But you can just get out whatever card it is for free. And the other way to do it as well is you can do it in such an order. So the other good thing about knowing what that 5th card is then obviously you're playing out whatever cards you want. And if you know the order of them, then you can trigger the ring effect with Vilya at the correct time. So you can manipulate it however you want.
Terrific ability.
And if there are abilities on the cards which are coming out, which could then even help you with that, then you can get them out. So all of these complexities.
This card actually is one of the few. There are a few landmark moments of playing this game where things click and change gear, and this card, when this card got introduced, that was one of those moments where you suddenly realize, wait a minute, I can play this game in a different way. I can now start combining this and this and these little light bulb moments, and this is one of those shifts in the game.
This was absolutely that for me. So I think when the biggest shift I had, I guess, was just at the beginning, learning when doing the Journey Along the Anduin. Is that what it's called? The second ever quest?
Yeah.
When you really had to think about, oh, this is impossible. How do you construct any kind of deck to beat this and get that way of thinking in your mind? That was a real big step. But then these whole combos talk about here. So we're talking about Glorfindel earlier and the cards which help him and Elrond, Villia and Enlarger Stargaze particularly. Once I started seeing all that, then it just the whole game opened up another whole level. And then that really got me hooked in, and I did a whole bunch of quests just using that kind of.
But that's magical, isn't it?
Yeah,
because that's how you can construct. And then what I also love about this game is that you go, oh yeah, this is wonderful. Look at how I manipulated things, and then suddenly the game designers will throw a quest at you.
Yeah,
well,
it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, exactly. This no longer works. That was the combo, by the way. Do you remember ages ago I mentioned that I finally did manage to beat the Dol Guldur quest in the core set, but I could only do it from cards from later on. And it was basically using these kind of combos, and that was the only way I could do it in solo.
Yeah.
I really had to go deep into the game and come back again.
And you probably still had to be lucky.
I still had to get lucky with which hero was getting imprisoned.
Yeah.
You still try and play it, but it wouldn't work. So it's basically like 1 in 3, you'd have a chance.
What a oh my goodness.
Anyway,
what a quest.
Another world.
Oh dear. But no, I think it's safe to say we're both big fans.
Larger Stargazer, thumbs up. And there she goes.
And there she goes. Off she goes. Amazing. And the artwork.
Oh yes.
It's a beautiful ethereal view of an elf, and I love the fact that we are seeing her doing the gazing. We're not seeing the view of what she is seeing.
No, we can't see what she's seeing.
No,
that's that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
She's the stargazer.
Oh, so good. Oh, Madame Villeneuve.
Oh, who else?
Salute.
Well, don't mind if I do.
She's done it again.
She's done it again. Okay.
We've waxed lyrical about that one.
Absolutely. Okay, so onwards. How many have we got to go here?
4.
4 to go. Hang in there.
Intermission.
Okay, next one. Oh, we've gone from the ridiculous to the sublime with cost here. So, a cost of 5. This had better be a secrecy. It is indeed. So, it's a event card, cost of 5, out of sight. Secrecy cost 3, or secrecy 3. So if you're playing a secrecy deck, then that reduces the cost down to 2. And it has an action. It says, enemies engaged with you cannot attack you this phase. Moving on.
So useful.
Incredible.
So useful. It's like a super feint. Oh, there is a card like that, isn't there?
Yeah, do you know what? As soon as you said that, I thought, don't we have another super feint?
Isn't that from a core set?
Oh, yes. But isn't it one of these ridiculous ones where it was like overly designed for the core set, so therefore you could never play it? You needed to have
3 tactics heroes. That was one of my inverted cheating ones. That's right. Yes, I can't remember what it was called. I'm trying to look it up.
Yeah, there was a super feint that no one could ever play. But this is a secret.
You had to have you had to pay for it with 1 resource from each hero. But those heroes and I was playing it, but I was doing it wrong because I was playing it through 1 tactics hero, then getting 1 resource of each.
Yeah.
But then you pointed out that it's not that simple.
No, it's a tactics card. So therefore, yeah. That's right. I can't remember what it was because no one's ever played it. But out of sight, this is actually a brilliant card. I mean, obviously it's a super feint. I don't think we need to explain why that's so good because it's basically all enemies that are engaged with you cannot attack you this phase. So if you're being swamped, and actually I was just thinking about the tentacles from Watching Water, so swamped is probably a good word. But let's say you have like a bunch of enemies all attacking you at once and you just need a little bit of respite, then you can play this. And if you're playing secrecy, it's only a cost of 2. It's a no-brainer. It's only 1 more than feint itself. But I would say that even not playing Secrecy, I would put perhaps one of these into a Spirit deck because, cost of 5, it's a Gandalf, but in a pinch, and let's be honest, it's going to be later in the game when you're swamped with enemies, most likely you might have the resources there, and if you can pay it out, it might just save your entire game.
Exactly. Well, I'm surprised to hear you say that, to be honest, but
I don't know what's come over me.
So absolutely. So obviously in Secrecy, I was using this a lot to, if you needed to engage someone, you needed to control what was happening in the staging area, then it's really useful. When it's non-Secrecy, I think what I find super useful if you're doing something like, right, I can get through this quest if I can get 2 questing rounds going. So quest everyone, you get engaged by whoever, and then just pay 5 to use this, and then you quest again the next round, hope you get over the finish line.
Exactly. If you've got the money, you just got to suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah. But really, it could really save you.
I like the artwork here as well. It's the
Cowering Hobbit.
Yeah, from the Dark Riders.
Yes, exactly.
Dark Riders? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Sorry, yeah.
Black Riders.
Black Riders. Yes, I knew that was wrong.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, so the Nazgul there trotting by, the horse with his friendly glowing red eyes. I never trust a horse with red eyes.
No. Wise words.
Yeah, beautiful. Great. Well, a great card. But I mean, it's very expensive, but it's really, and I certainly, if I wasn't playing a Secrecy deck, I'm only putting one in my deck. I'm not going to take up space in my deck with this. Unless, of course, okay, maybe you could put more in if you were playing, depending on your heroes, if you perhaps were playing with Eowyn, is it, where you could discard the cards?
Yes, Eowyn. Yep.
Yeah, so you could discard the cards and to increase your questing ability. Then, yeah, of course, put them in because you can always find a way to discard them. So it's
exactly, yeah.
So, but yeah,
or just spend for 10 and do it twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It was Thickets of Spears. It says it's been errated here. Anyway, yeah, you must use resources from 3 different heroes' pools to pay for this card. Action, choose a player. That player's engaged enemies cannot attack that player this phase.
I wonder what the errata was.
Yeah. So, okay. So I actually just think, well, maybe we shouldn't revisit this, but I wonder whether that was geared towards 2-player actually. So if you've got 1 tactics and your friend's got 2 tactics heroes, you can pay for it.
You can't spread resources across the table.
Okay. You're never going to play this.
No one in the history of this game has ever played that card.
Well, I have loads of times, but it was incorrect.
Yeah, I should rephrase that.
Yeah. No one who's playing this game properly. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So let's move on to the next one. Oh, we're rattling through this.
Moving along. Okay, we have an ally, and it's none other than our good friend Arwen.
Oh, there she is.
Arwen Undomiel. She costs 2. She has willpower of 2. She hits for 0, just 1 shield and 2 hit points. She's Noldor, useful for early cards. Noble. Mm-hmm. Response. After Arwen exhausts, choose a character. That character gains Sentinel and gets +1 defense until the end of the round.
Yeah.
So, Arwen is there to give a bit of an extra shield of protection for somebody in your defending. So you keep her out of the way, keep her out of the line of fire, and she can do that. Or if you're not fighting, then she's pretty useful quester for 2.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a brilliant card. I think Arwen is, again, this was such an important card for me when I was playing Spirit during this cycle, because she's so multifaceted. It seems so simple, but actually the fact, like you say, she's only a cost of 2, which I think is incredibly good value. She quests for 2, which is not to be sniffed at, or what was it? Not to be scoffed at. And what you need to remember is that it's a response to her exhausting. So when you quest her for those 2, it's at that point that you can then give the defense. So it's a double bubble.
Oh, yes, of course, that's right. Until the end of a round, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not a phase, yeah.
So it's not like you have to. It's not an action. You don't have to. The action is not exhausted to give the defense. It's when she exhausts, or after she exhausts. So
you quest her.
You quest her, and that process of her exhausting is what triggers her response. So you can quest her, and then you go. So the only thing you have to.
I think it's been a while, so I think I might have been playing her wrong, and I wasn't getting the most. Even though I've played her all the time.
You maybe have been playing her as an action.
I think I was playing as an action rather than a response, because you get both as double bubble, isn't it?
Yeah, double bubble. So it's so useful. The only thing, and of course, this is a bit the ability to be able to sort of see into the future a bit, which is kind of a little bit of the theme with the elves. Yeah. So let's say during questing is the time you're most likely to exhaust her. You quest her for 2, and then at that point you have to decide which character is going to get the shield.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have a little bit of foreknowledge of,
which is so thematic.
Most likely you know who your defender is. Most times when you play a deck, you kind of go, well, this is going to be my main attacker, this is going to be my main defender, this is going to be my main quester. So, but sometimes you have to really go, okay, well, who's going to be ready now and work out who's going to be defending. And it's character, by the way. It doesn't have to be hero.
Yeah.
So you can also just give it to, say, a Gondorian spearman.
Exactly. Or you might already be engaged with an enemy when you know what they're going to be attacking for.
Exactly.
Sans shadow.
So I think she's a really, really powerful ally. So I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, so good. I like the autumnal theme in the artwork as well.
Yeah, it's very poignant for the...
Can I say something, though?
Please.
I think... Maybe in terms of this is Madame Villeneuve again, who I'm normally, as you know, a huge fan of.
You had never mentioned it.
I've never mentioned it. I feel she maybe looks a bit too contemporary.
Bit emo?
Maybe not emo. But a little bit contemporary. If you know what I mean. But it might be the makeup.
I was going to say, is it the eyeshadow?
It's the eyeshadow.
Is it the eyeshadow?
She's more of a natural beauty, Arwen, I think.
I can see that. Yep. Yeah, I will.
And she's such a great character, isn't she?
Yeah, fantastic.
Awesome. And this is so thematic of her, because she will always doing something for others. Yeah. That is her nature, isn't it?
Oh, and I would like to point out, talking about doing something for others, that it also gives that character sentinel. So again, it's something which doesn't immediately jump out at me because we so rarely play multiplayer, but... So it's not only adding defense, but if you wish to defend across the table, that's always an option.
Always an option. Well, I think we got another winner. Another winner. All right, so where are we down to the last couple?
Last couple. Okay, it is a song. It's an attachment, cost of 1, and it's the Song of Irandil. It is a song, and it says, attached to a spirit hero. Response. After Song of Irandil enters play, draw 1 card. Okay, so already good, because more cards. And it has a secondary response. It says, after another player raises his threat, raise your threat by 1 to reduce that player's threat by 1. Okay, so again, a bit of a selfless card. So if you're playing multiplayer, if your opponent is forced to raise their threat, you can help balance that by raising your own threat to pull that player's threat back down a bit. So actually, if you happen to both have this attachment, you can balance each other's threat. Again, I've not played this much because of the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
But it's cheap, and I can see the use of it. And of course, you get to draw 1 card, one resource for 1 card. I'll take it.
Yeah, but then you would already have had this card to replace another card.
That's true. That's usually my That's usually what I say. It's like it's already taking up a space in your deck.
I'm going back to that deck I made where all I did was get the cards which draw other cards, and that's all I did. I had all these useless cards.
So, Erandil. Do you remember?
Erandil.
Erandil.
How do you pronounce the A with the?
Yeah, it's the umlaut, which is throwing me off. Do you remember who this is? This really is going to test your knowledge because it's going to go back to the Silmarillion, but I do believe he's almost certainly mentioned in Lord of the Rings.
I mean, I read the Silmarillion quite a while ago.
Well, first age.
Indeed. You must remind me.
This is Elrond's father.
Right.
Unless I'm completely... Apologies if anyone's jumping up and down listening to this. But memory stuff, this is Elrond's father who... He goes off with his wife, and I cannot remember the name of his wife. I cannot remember that. But they sail off, and they have one of the Silmarils.
Elwing.
Wow. Did you just look that up?
I just suddenly remembered. Yes. Tolkien's internet.
Has done the business again. And they have and I think they lose it, but they because Elrond is there is a pattern in Elrond's family that there is a lot of marriages between elves and men. And men, I mean, as a race, so not necessarily like actually men. It could be women as well. And I think that my brain is fried. They get to choose they get a gift from the Valar, and Erandil chooses to become full elf, but they've already got the sons, Elrond, because I think Elrond's also a twin. And they could choose to become human or elf, and they choose to become they go full elf.
Okay, now, interestingly, I'm looking at a family tree. And I think you've got it right. And it's color-coded. And it's color-coded to signify which ones are elves, which ones are men, which ones are Maya, and which ones are half-elven, and which ones are half-elven who chose the fate of elves, and half-elven who chose the fate of mortal men. And both Erandil and Elwing are half-elven who chose the fate of elves.
There you go.
And yeah, their children are Elrond and Elros. Elrond also chose the fate of elves.
Yeah.
Elros chose the fate of men. And from there are descended the 22 kings of Númenor and the lords of Andúni.
Good goodness.
Elendil, Isildur, all of those guys, blah, blah, all the way going down to Aragorn, who then kind of marries back into the family by Arwen.
Who wrote this nonsense?
It's pretty great.
It's amazing, isn't it? No, I'm getting like goosebumps just hearing you talk about the family tree. Yeah. It's incredible, isn't it? Oh my days.
That's just on Wikipedia. So. The half-elven family tree.
Wow. Well, one, I'm going to pat myself slightly on the back for even remembering who this character was. I mean, big gaps in my memory.
Wait a minute. So, Celebrian is...
That's Elrond's wife. Celebrian's Elrond's wife, yeah?
Celebrian being the daughter of Celeborn and Galadriel.
Yes, and that's how the two families are joined.
So, Celeborn and Galadriel are Elrond's uncle and aunt?
Uncle and aunt.
Right, okay.
Through marriage. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite fascinating. I'm going to have to reread Silmarillion.
It is so
after good. I reread Lord of the Rings.
But it's somewhere in the back of my head is that they had a Silmaril and it's lost from the boat. I have no knowledge of the consequence.
Yes. Yeah, God, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Finally a spark went off.
Yeah. So that's the song of Erandil.
I love the artwork.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Isn't it?
Really beautifully done, actually. This is K.R. Harris.
K.R. Hartley.
Well, K.R. Ewing. K.R. Elwing. A fine job.
Okay, last one.
Last one. What's it to be? Okay, so last card is an ally, and it's Rider of a Mark. So Rider of a Mark has a cost of 3, willpower of 2, hits for 1, shield of 1, 2 hit points. Is Rohan. Has an action and a response. The action: spend 1 spirit resource to give control of Rider of a Mark to another player. Limit once per round.
Okay.
Response: after Rider of a Mark changes control, discard a shadow card dealt to an enemy you're engaged with. So we managed to get a lot of the 2-player ones towards the end, haven't we? Now, again, probably haven't really played this one that much.
No.
But I think if you were, this would probably be extremely useful.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I love the theming.
Yeah,
just this guy just riding around the table.
Across, yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, okay. I think you can see that this is a very strong card. I don't think I've ever played it, but I can really see this is nice. Okay, so you have to. The thing is, it's quite expensive, but a pretty decent ally for the money.
Exactly.
So actually, if you just look at it, it's a 3-cost ally, but forget all the actions and responses. It's still 2 willpower, hits for 1, defense for 1, 2 hit points. Pretty solid stuff. But you do have to spend another resource to move the Rider of the Mark to another player. And remember, if you want it to ride back, that other player would also need to have a spirit resource. So that's just something to bear in mind. Yeah. So not only can you bounce this ally around, if you know that someone's going to need an extra defense or an extra bit of attack, sure. But then I think most useful is you bounce them around the table to discard the shadow cards.
And that's so useful, isn't it?
Yeah. Because actually,
just generally spending 1 spirit resource to get rid of a shadow card. How many situations would you do that in? Quite a lot, I think. In depending on the quest, I think that would be really just on its own really useful.
Now, bear in mind that when shadow cards are revealed, they immediately take effect. So there is no action window in between revealing a shadow card and doing bad things to you. So this would happen before. This would happen before you see if there is even a shadow on that card. It's when it's face down.
Yeah, when it's face down, exactly. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. So, but that's still terrific. I mean, if you have the resources, of course, because actually, if you've both got spirit resources, you could during the combat phase, you could be both dealt shadow cards to enemies engaged with both players, and then just bounce it back and forwards. Those shadow cards are gone for both players.
Oh no, you can. I think it's limit once per round.
Once per round.
So
okay,
Rider of a Mark can only travel once in the round.
He's a one-way guy.
Yeah. He needs a rest. Yeah. Come back next time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay. I wonder if that was errated or whether or not they already thought that through, because you can see that could almost be overly powerful. Actually, if it was able to do what I just said, you could think that could be a bit too powerful.
Just keep bouncing around. Was it errated? No, I don't.
No, so they had already worked out that would be too powerful just to bounce him around like that.
But such great theming, isn't it?
It's terrific.
Here comes the rider.
Yeah.
And he distracts the enemy as well. So there goes his shadow.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played it, but I'm going to try my damnedest to bear it in mind next time we put... Because that's the problem with, we so rarely play multiplayer that when I put a deck together to play 2-player, that I sometimes forget that there are all these cards
you don't get in the mindset,
which are geared towards multiplayer games.
That's right.
So I really, really need to make an effort next time that we do that to go back and really look at some of the... So if only there was a podcast that went through all the cards that I could listen back to.
I'll look out for them.
And that's all the cards.
That's
double
it.
Quick time.
I think we can safely say that is a really fine assortment. I mean, that is
there are some absolute top draw cards in there. I would say out of these, how many cards is it? Is it 12 cards? That I would say 6 of them at least are staples, and not just staples, top drawer.
Absolutely top class. Yeah, I agree, and for secrecy even more.
Yeah, but I must say, yeah, there were two secrecy cards, but actually, I think they were. Oh no, there was also. Yeah, I'm not going to say the name. That one. I'm not going to say. Oh, I'll try and say it. Elabereth Gilphoniel.
I would have done a lighter smattering personally. I mean, you got the second half right. See, I've got a cocky now.
But I don't think that one is a card that you would play not in a secrecy deck.
Yeah,
but the other secrecy ones I can see.
Out of sight. It's just a cracker.
And the other,
yeah. Thumbs up.
Oh, a big thumbs up. Big thumbs up for this set of cards. So, as this is a non-spoilery episode, we have our, and I'll keep saying it, regular sections of the parts of the show, which is our Share the Love and Fact of the Week. Share the Love, if you can remember, I've put on hold because I still intend for us to do a larger Share the Love special.
That's right.
Still there in the back of my head.
Yep.
But it is actually...
We're storing love. Store the love. We're going to break the dam of love in a future episode.
Wow. What about the mess?
It's a fine mess.
Another one. But we will do we will continue with the Fact of the Week. And I must say that this is not just me skirting my responsibilities with the Share the Love. It is actually important. This episode I've got in the back of my head in very much in the development of how we are going to continue discussing this game going forward after this cycle. Little teaser.
Oh.
But we are absolutely going to carry on with the Fact of the Week.
Another week, another fact.
Okay, I believe this is where we got to. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Question. If Legolas has a blade of Gondolin and destroys an enemy, can he trigger his response, finish off a quest card, and still place progress tokens on the next quest with the blade of Gondolin's response? Oh boy, I think we better go and look up probably both Legolas and the blade of Gondolin.
Okay, I think... Do you want me... Okay, here's Legolas.
Yes.
Okay, so his response was, or is... after Legolas participates in an attack that destroys an enemy, place 2 progress tokens on the current quest.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so after he participates in an attack that destroys an enemy.
Yeah.
The Blade of Gondolin is an attachment. It's a restricted attachment to a hero. Attached hero gets +1 attack when attacking an orc. But it has a response. After attached hero attacks and destroys an enemy, place 1 progress token on the current quest.
Okay.
So I'll tell you how I was playing this. If you do that, you place 3 progress tokens.
Well, you were sort of doing it right and sort of doing it wrong. So what this question is asking, I mean, there's an official response, but I always like to discuss things.
Was that not quite a question?
Sort of. The question is, what happens when something happens and it changes quest card? Because so what this question is asking is, you get 2 progress for Legolas participating in an attack, and you get 1 progress for the Blade of Gondolin.
So can I tell you what I think the answer is, and then you tell me why I'm completely wrong?
No, probably not.
So imagine if you needed 1 progress
to complete the quest.
To complete the quest, right? And you have Blade of Gondolin, after which you attack and destroy an enemy, you place 1 progress token. Legolas has a response. After he participates in attack, destroys an enemy, place 2 progress, right? So the responses happen kind of immediately, but in the order in which you can basically decide as a player. So let's do Blade of Gondolin first. Mm-hmm. Now the quest changes See, I'm going to contradict myself here. The question.
I'm curious which side you're going to land on, to be honest, 'cause I already know the answer.
So am I. So am I. But so what goes into my head? I don't know if I've ever come across this, but what comes into my head is you place for progress for the first response, and then you trigger the second that progress token hits the card, you trigger that.
You mean as soon as it hits the card, you trigger it moving on to the quest card 2, for instance?
Yeah. Because that's, if I remember correctly from previous discussions, that happens instantly.
Yeah, as soon as you've completed a quest, you move on to the next quest. Yeah.
But that means that you still haven't triggered the response from Legolas, which is sitting there in the wings, which should then go on the next one.
Is this your final answer?
No. You know what? From the discussions we've had, I know it's a bit of a quirk, and that's why it's in the fact. From the discussion we've had before, I can imagine logically that maybe is the answer. I think thematically and the spirit of the game, I would imagine that it probably isn't the answer. But in terms of pure game mechanics, I would go with you do put the extra progress on the next one.
I think you're right.
Oh,
and I think
here's a first.
It's a landmark.
How long does it take?
A landmark moment. Well, I don't know yet. I haven't actually read it.
I'm going to be wrong.
But let's look at it purely from a mechanics point of view, like you say. And I think this really is a mechanics question, game mechanics.
Yeah, not.
They are two. Yeah, we are not going to find a car mechanic or Jason Statham.
Unfortunately.
Neither of these two people will help us answer this question.
I think Jason Statham probably would help in some way.
He would give it his best shot.
He would. He'd put his whole heart and soul into it.
No, well, Jason Statham would probably be an ex-game designer.
Retired in the south of France.
Yeah.
Being asked just to do one more job.
Design one more game.
Design one more game. And it's the most difficult one yet.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a purely mechanics point of view, you have two responses triggering. One of which adds 2 quest tokens, one of which adds 1 quest token. So it is not like you're playing it, I just added 3, which is not necessarily incorrect. If you were in the middle of a long quest and that's what happened, sure, just put your 3.
Well, I don't think I ever had a situation where I had that exact scenario and just added 1 and then had to say, but I probably would have played it wrong.
Basically, and we are going to read the official response in a minute and check that we are correct. The way I would say it is these are 2 separate situations. And yes, when you would complete a quest card by placing the appropriate number of quest tokens, that immediately moves on to the next quest. There is still a response to be triggered. And because you had separated it, I would presume you can choose which one to do first. So if you needed 2 to complete the quest, do Legolas's first.
Exactly.
And then put the one from the Blade of Gondolin, or vice versa, if necessary. So you always do it in your favor, and you'd be crazy not to. That is my opinion.
Yes. So we share the same opinion from a mechanics perspective.
Let us see the answer. So let me just quickly read it again. Question: if Legolas has the Blade of Gondolin and destroys an enemy, can he trigger his response, finish off a quest card, and still place progress tokens on the next quest with the Blade of Gondolin's response? Okay. Answer: yes.
Yay! You got it right.
Quest cards are immediately replaced as soon as the players place enough progress on them. And this replacement does not interrupt the current round sequence. Oh, the replacement of the quest.
Of the quest,
yeah. If the current quest card only needs 1 progress on it, then a player could also trigger the Blade's effect first. Bingo.
There we go. We were right.
And then Legolas's. In order to maximize the number of progress tokens placed, there is no carryover progress from an effect. There is no carryover progress from an effect. There is no... I know what that means. It's amazing. They over-explained the actual answer, and then they just threw a line at the end there with no explanation.
Yeah.
And what it was saying there is...
Oh, so like if you had a card effect or something, which said...
Well,
I was going to say, once, I don't know, once you place one progress token...
No, you're over confusing it.
Well, I'm confused by what. No,
maybe you're over confusing it. Maybe that's exactly what I mean. There's no explanation.
I don't know what it means.
What I believe they are saying in this line, which will probably be answered in the next fact.
Yeah.
What? Next fact. What did you mean by the answer to the previous fact? Is that there is no... Let me see their exact word again. There is no carryover progress from an effect. So let us say...
Oh, so if there was... Okay.
Let's say Legolas adds 2 progress.
Yeah, you needed 1.
You needed 1. You can't put 1 there.
Yeah.
To the next quest card and place the other. But
that's
one.
fine. That's what we were playing. Yeah, exactly.
That one would go into the ether.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's only the fact is that you have 2 quest responses, so 2 effects.
Basically, you need that whole response. In your pocket. Yeah, basically, exactly. waiting in line.
Yes.
Before you.
So let's say So exactly that. So let's say that, and that's why they're saying if you only need 1 to finish a quest card, do the Blade of Gondolin first.
But that's exactly the same as, in my mind, is you got a quest for 4 more to get through your card, and you quest for 26.
Yes.
You don't carry 22 over into the next card, right? You just complete that card, then you do the next
absolutely.
one. That's it. And it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So therefore, if you essentially with this combination, you're going to put 3 progress tokens down, and you only need 1 to complete the quest. It would be folly to do Legolas first because you'd lose 1 quest.
You'd only put 1 on the next one instead of 2. But that's
So
it's good. But the general principle is a good one, which is to say, if you have multiple things adding progress in one particular instance at the end of the round, and you need X amount to finish it, then you can carry over the full effects from a
work out the best way to use the effects.
Work out the best way to do it, and then you carry over the next one.
Yeah. That's a really good one, actually.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because that's all stuff from the core set, of course, but this kind of thing only escalates into more complexity.
Exactly, and it's a basic mechanic to know the truth about.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so that was our fact of the week.
There we go. Very good. Yeah, that was quite an in-depth one compared to some previous.
And it was nice that it was about player cards rather than some random part of Escape from Dol Guldur.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that's pretty much the end of our show. And I must say, it was much less chaotic than I was expecting with us both. So I think I'm going to put it down to The Hangover.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We probably haven't realised we've done a 5-hour recording.
Exactly. I think our listeners are, thank goodness for The Hangover. They were beautifully muted.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully muted, yeah. No, yes, it's been an experience doing it.
One that I do not wish to repeat.
Yeah. I left my comment the same way that Caleb left the fact answer. A little bit open-ended. You can figure it out for yourselves.
Okay, so we do have ways that you can get in touch. I do not remember what they are. Yes, of course I do. If you do wish to get in touch with the show, we have several ways to do it. And actually, there is another one that I completely forgot about, which has been around for some time now, actually. So we have our email address, which is latertherings@gmail.com. We do have an X account, as we repeat every time. We barely look at it, but a few people do respond to me when I post the new episode is out. So I'm not going to kill it outright. Right. So if people are getting something from it, I don't post anything about the show. I just post when there is a new episode. So I will continue to do that. Okay. We have the Board Game Geek thread, which we do look at and update. And actually, just as I was saying that, I realized I needed to respond to someone. I saw someone's comment just the other day and I haven't responded to that. So I will. Apologies if you are that person. And also, on our podcast itself, you, depending on which podcasting app or website you're listening through, you may well see a link on the show description which says message the show. Yeah, this is something which our podcast host has added as a feature. So if you click that link, I believe on your phone, you can basically send us a text message. It comes
I see.
And I don't know what it costs, and I mean, there's many ways to get in touch with us. But if you wanted to drop us a line, we will receive a notification.
Surely it wouldn't cost anything to send a message, would it?
I don't think so, but I think it's literally a text message. But I don't think I just don't do text messages. Do SMSs cost money these days?
Oh, I see what you mean. Right, okay. For now,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Who knows?
Oh no. Well, if you fancy it, give it a shot.
We'll ask it in the FAQ.
Yeah. How many resources does it cost to send the show a
Yeah,
message?
exactly. Naught.
It's the only answer. So please, we always love to hear from people. So if you wish to get in touch, please do. So other than that, unless you have anything else to add,
I guess just on that Board Game Geek one, I think we had a request to add in to post some of our decks, which we sort of neglected for a little bit.
That's right.
So I've put a bunch on there. I think you put a few on there as well. Sorry.
No, well, you have actually absolutely gone above and beyond the Call of Duty, and you've really got all your decks up to date. Almost all.
You say that, but a lot of them I use the same deck for a few different quests. So actually, a lot of them are kind of duplicates. I think I'm up to date, but I do have some other decks which I've used to complete the same quests.
Yes.
So over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'll probably pop a few of those on there as well, and just get up to date.
No, okay. So let me put it another way. You've got your admin up to date.
Yeah. Yes.
It's of no use to anyone.
No.
but
But I can sleep easy.
I, on the other hand, I had a quick look and I realised that a bunch of the decks I'd been using for replaying the game for the show, I actually hadn't even taken notes of, which is a bit bad of me, actually. But there are a few which I have. So anything that I have got the information for, I will go back and I will update our RingsDB database for that. And as a reminder, if you want to find our decks on RingsDB, you can go there and you can filter deck lists by author, and the author is Later the Rings. And then if you are looking for a specific deck for a specific quest, we always put the name of the quest in the name of the deck. So you can filter by author, Later the Rings, and then if you just want to see
Escape from Dwarrowdelf.
conflict of the Carrack, you can just put in Carrack in the name filter and it will show us, it will just bring up those two decks, and it works very well. So you are welcome to take a look. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I think it's time we had another drink.
Oh God.
The sun is still shining. The furniture is not covered in snow.
And it's not going to be Miravor.
Well, you'll get what you're given. Okay, with that, so I wish you all to take care out there. And until next time, goodbye.
Right.